A few years back, I met a little child, a girl. She was probably in grade 9 or 10th. She was holding a lighted candle in her hand, and I just stopped and asked her, "Hey, how's life?" She said, "Perfectly fine." So, can you tell me, where is this flame coming from? Where the light is coming from? She didn't respond to my question. She just stared at me, and what she did, just blew off the candle and then reverted. Brother, if you can tell me where the light is gone, I can tell you where this light is coming from. That is the mystery of light, and the same element of mystery, the uncanniness, lies in the very process of life. This is my absolute honor and privilege to welcome you all to unmask this mystery. So let us be together and find out what life is all about in this very introductory session, where we happen to meet each other, where the journey shall be about discovering the facets and features of living organisms, including human beings. So let's begin.
Time and again, a question keeps erupting: what is life? From the scientific context, it may be defined as a unique, complex organization of molecules expressing through chemical reactions which lead to growth, development, responsiveness, adaptation and reproduction. जीवन अणुओं का एक अनूठा जटिल संगठन है जो रासायनिक प्रतिक्रियाओं के माध्यम से व्यक्त होता है, जो वृद्धि, विकास, प्रतिक्रिया, अनुकूलन और प्रजनन की ओर ले जाता है. The next obvious question would be, what is a living organism? Your textbook says it's a self-replicating, evolving and self-regulating interactive system capable of responding to external stimuli. These words might seem complicated to you at this moment, but as we unearth our journey, we'll surely learn what all these terms imply. Before proceeding, let's check this question. Biology is concerned with A. Life forms and process of the living world. B. Biomass, that's all the organic material from the plants, animals. C. DNA, that's a genetic material. D. Life as recorded by fossils. The answer would be, any guess? It's A. Biology is concerned with life forms and process of the living world. And I hope you do know, what do you call a scientist who studies fossils? He is known as paleontologist. The term biology was introduced by Lamarck and Treviranus, Darwin, John Ray, or Aristotle. The answer is Lamarck and Treviranus. While Darwin is associated with the theory of evolution, John Ray had proposed the fundamental principles on the classification of monocotyledons and dicotyledons, that is monocots and dicots, while Aristotle is often considered as father of biology. Let's check out what cellular organization is all about. You might be well aware of the fact that organisms are made up of one or more cells. We ourselves have so many different types of cells with different shapes, size, and functions. After all, cells are the basic structural and functional units of life. So please remember, cellular organization is one of the defining features of living organisms. When we talk about metabolism, please remember it is another defining feature of living organisms. Without metabolic activities, life is impossible. And what does metabolism encompass? It is the sum total of all the biochemical reactions taking place inside a living system. Thousands and thousands of reactions occur in our body. And catabolic pathways involve the breakdown of the nutrient molecules from food into usable forms. In this process, energy is either stored in energy molecules for later use or released as heat. On the other hand, anabolic pathways then build new molecules out of the products of catabolism, and these pathways typically use energy. The new molecules built via anabolic pathways are useful for building cell structures and maintaining the cell. So, catabolism is all about breakdown and anabolism is all about creation. So, the breakdown and the make together constitute metabolic pathways. It is very much possible to demonstrate various metabolic reactions, for example, the enzymatic reactions outside the body in cell-free systems. Okay. In test tubes, you can demonstrate. However, please remember these isolated metabolic reactions that are demonstrated in lab do not represent living things. They are just living reactions. Most of you are in your teenage, and I believe you know what growth is. On a specific note, growth may be considered in terms of increase in the number and mass of cells by cell division when you talk about the physical growth of an organism. In fact, these are the twin characteristics of growth. Please note, plant growth is unique because plants retain the capacity for unlimited or indeterminate growth throughout their life. This ability of the plants is due to the presence of meristematic tissues at certain locations in the body. Fine. On the other hand, when you talk about animals, the growth is only up to a certain age, that is determinate or limited growth. However, please note, cell division does occur to replace lost cells. One might argue that a non-living object can also grow, right? Just through surface accumulation of material. You can have a sand dune, keep on adding sand, the sand dune will grow big. You can have a mountain, the mountain might grow bigger with time. In living organisms, growth is from inside. Okay. However, when we talk about non-living objects' growth, the addition of similar materials on the outer surface is called accretion, and that can also lead to growth. That is, increase in the size, the mass, or the volume. Thus, growth is not a defining property of living organisms.
So now let's talk about reproduction. What is reproduction? Simply, it is the process of production of progenies having features similar to their parents. Simple process, but it is not so simple. It is one of the most complicated processes of this planet and perhaps outside, we don't know. Nevertheless, when you talk about reproduction, there could be different modes. When it's a uniparental stuff, it is asexual reproduction. When partners are involved, it's sexual reproduction. But the point which I want to stress upon at this juncture is reproduction is not essential for an organism or a couple, to be more precise, if we are talking about the human species. It's more critical for the continuity of the entire species. অর্থাৎ এটা particular organism or kind of reproduction জরুৰী নহয়, কিন্তু গোটেই স্পিচিছটোৰ কন্টিনিউটিৰ কাৰণে reproduction processটো important হয়। ঠিক আছে, তাৰ পিছত কেইটামান আৰু ফ্যাক্ট শুনিবা। যেতিয়া আমি ইউনিসেলুলাৰ অৰ্গানিজমছৰ বিষয়ে কথা কওঁ, মানি লোৱা বেক্টেৰিয়া, reproduction আৰু growth synonymous হয়, because তাহাঁতৰ গ্ৰোথবোৰ বেসিক্যালি সেল ডিভিজনৰ থ্ৰু দিয়া হয়। ফাইন, they reproduce also through cell division. So সেইকাৰণে growth আৰু reproduction বস্তুকেইটা আমি ইউনিসেলুলাৰ অৰ্গানিজমছত synonymous হিচাপে ইউজ কৰোঁ। Okay, same meaning. ইয়াৰ উপৰিও আৰু দুটামান ফ্যাক্ট তোমালোকে জানি থোৱা উচিত। যদিও reproduction to living organismsৰ এটা characteristic feature হয়, কিন্তু this is not an absolute defining feature of living organisms. অৰ্থাৎ হয়তো তোমালোকে জানা যে বহুত married couple, they are living, husband wife, কিন্তু তেওঁলোকৰ offspring নাই, there are no kids. So that does not mean that husband and wife are non-living, right? Even though they are unable to have kids, that does not disqualify them to be living. Okay. Similarly, তোমালোকে যদি হানি বীজৰ কথা কোৱা তেতিয়া হানি বীজৰ এখন সোসাইটি থাকে তাহাঁতৰ ৰাণী এজনী থাকে ওয়ার্কার্স থাকে ড্ৰোনস থাকে ওকে ওয়ার্কার হানি বীজবোৰ তাহাঁতি স্টেৰাইল হয় they are unable to reproduce okay but they are living so the point you should remember reproduction is not a defining feature of living organisms.
One of the most obvious and technically complex feature of living organisms is consciousness. Organisms are aware of their surroundings, and in fact, consciousness happens to be a defining property of living organisms. Living organisms have the ability to sense their environment and respond to environmental stimuli like light, water, temperature, other organisms, chemicals, pollutants, and so on. You might have experienced as well as witnessed the closure of leaflets in Mimosa pudica or touch me not plant. নিজেই দেখিছা যেতিয়া চুই দিয়া তেতিয়া লাজুকীলতাৰ পাতবোৰ বন্ধ হৈ যায়. This is a special type of plant movement called thigmonasty or seismonasty, and it is attributed a special type of structure at the base of the leaves or the leaflets called pulvinus. Response to various physical, chemical, as well as biological stimuli can have profound impact on various physiological activities of a living organism. For example, photoperiodism, which refers to a physiological reaction of organisms to the length of night or a dark period, can influence the reproduction in various seasonal breeders, both plants and animals. Living organisms are aware of their surroundings and they respond accordingly to the different stimuli. On a specific note, humans have self-consciousness. They are self-aware.
আমি বহুতবাৰ আঘাতপ্ৰাপ্ত হৈছোঁ খেলোঁতে দৌৰোঁতে বাইকৰ পৰা পৰিছোঁ তোমালোকেও হয়তো তেনেকুৱা এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ কৰিছা কিন্তু কিছুদিনৰ পিছত সেই ঘাঁবোৰ শুকায় হিল হয় আৰু নিজে ৰিপেয়াৰো হয় কিন্তু সব লিভিং অৰ্গেনিজমছৰ ওচৰত তেনেকুৱা হিলিং পটেঞ্চি বা কমপ্লিট ৰিজেনেৰেশ্যন পটেঞ্চি নাই but it is important to note that living organisms can repair and heal their broken or injured body parts, either partially or completely. তোমালোকে starfishৰ কথাটো জানা living organismৰ এটা নিজৰ নিৰ্ধাৰিত lifespan আছে. Every organism has its own lifespan, right? Various life activities বোৰ যেতিয়া stop হৈ যায়, accompanied by increase in entropy. That is death. Okay, so stoppage of various life activities which is accompanied by the increase in entropy. Fine. There could be various reasons. Aging, বৃদ্ধ হৈছে, বেমাৰ হ'ব পাৰে, disease, accident, predation, all these factors can lead to death. এইটো portionত বা এইটো junctureত মই তোমালোকক এটা বিশেষ বস্তু ক'ব বিচাৰিছোঁ. There is a subtle difference between biological death and clinical death. Okay. Clinical death মানে কি? যেতিয়া তোমাৰ heart stops pumping blood. That is clinical death. Okay. যদি তোমাৰ cardiopulmonary resuscitation নকৰা, that is CPR, তেতিয়া biological death will set in within a very short time. Okay, biological death হয় কি? Biological death basically যিজন মৃত্যুগ্ৰাহী তেখেতৰ ব্ৰেইন ধীৰে ধীৰে ডেমেজ হয় আৰু ভিক্টিমৰ হাৰ্টৰ ব্ৰেইনৰ আৰু ডিফাৰেণ্ট অৰ্গেনছবোৰৰ চেলছবোৰ লাহে লাহে মৃত্যুৰ পথত আগবাঢ়ি যায় বিকজ অফ লেক অফ অক্সিজেন. The damage caused by biological death is irreversible. Living এটা প্ৰশ্ন আমাৰ মনত সদায় উঠে, particularly biology ছাত্ৰ-ছাত্ৰীৰ মাজত উঠে. A person who is in coma, is he or she alive or dead? সেইটো প্ৰশ্নৰ উত্তৰ বিচৰাৰ আগতে এটা বস্তু জনা উচিত. কমা শব্দটো গ্ৰীক ৱৰ্ডৰ পৰা আহিছে. ইয়াৰ অৰ্থ হৈছে deep sleep. Fine? কমা এনেকুৱা এটা ষ্টেট যিটো ষ্টেটত এজন ব্যক্তি where a person is unconscious and the person cannot be awakened, তেখেতক জগাই তুলিব নোৱাৰে আৰু সেই অৱস্থাত সেই ব্যক্তিজনে কোনো এক্সটাৰ্নেল ষ্টিমুলাই ৰেছপন্ড নকৰে বা কোনো ভলাণ্টাৰী একশ্যন ডিসপ্লে কৰিব নোৱাৰে বা নকৰে ফাইন কিন্তু ব্যক্তিজন জীৱিত the person is still alive okay লগতে ব্ৰেইনটোৱে ফাংচন কৰি আছে কিন্তু at its lowest stage of alertness the brain is functioning at its lowest stage of alertness fine বহুত কাৰণৰ কাৰণে এজন ব্যক্তি কমাত এন্টাৰ কৰিব পাৰে severe injury to the head যদি ব্ৰেইনত ইনফেকশন হৈছে কেতিয়াবা কিছুমান মেডিচিনৰ কাৰণে ওভাৰডোজ হ'ব পাৰে ষ্ট্ৰোকৰ কাৰণে হ'ব পাৰে বা কিছুমান বেমাৰ বা ইলনেছৰ কাৰণেও ব্যক্তি এজন কমাত এন্টাৰ কৰিব পাৰে তাৰ পিছত কিছুমান জৰুৰী তথ্য a person who is in coma he is living because nourishment or maintenance দৰকাৰ okay you know that nourishment is an important aspect for living organisms okay ইয়াতে entrance point of view পৰা যদি মই কওঁ outside the NCERT textbook এটা particular scale আছে called Glasgow Coma Scale GCS GCS scale to actually এটা numerical system হয় এজন পেশেন্টৰ consciousness level to estimate কৰিবলৈ যিমানে বেছি স্কোৰ টু হাই হ'ব সিমানে বেছি কনসিয়াস লেভেল হাই থাকিব so please note GCS মানে হৈছে Glasgow Coma Scale
Living organisms represent complex circuits of biomolecular interactions. Various phenomena in living organisms are due to underlying interactions. Various cells interact to form tissues, tissues to organs, organs to organ systems, and finally an individual. Interestingly, the properties of tissues are not present in the constituent cells, but arise as a result of interactions among the constituent cells. These interactions result in emergent properties at a higher level of organization. Just to cite for an example, blood, which is one of the most important connective tissues, is formed from so many different cell types, the red blood cells, white blood cells, and different other proteins and fluid portions. The interactions play a critical role to shape blood as a connective tissue. So here's a question for you. The most obvious and technically complicated feature of all living organisms is metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness, or all of the above. Try. Give a try. Hybrids between closely related species are obtained in captivity, and these hybrids are generally sterile, but some are fertile as well. So, among liger, hinny, mule, and tigon, you have to select the fertile hybrid. Give it a try.
Dear friends, that's all for today. I do believe that you had learned at least a trifle. Something had really gone into you. I believe you will be carrying a message that would go for the year to come ahead. I also believe that your journey with KCA would be a fruitful one. I am damn optimistic that you would surely come up with flying colors and get a position in one of the top medical institutes in India. All the best for your Salt Brook Academy's journey as well as Krishna Coaching Academy's journey. All the best for your board exam. Right at this moment I'm wishing you, because I know that you will really do good. All the best for your entrance exams. 2 years ahead I'm wishing you, because I believe you will be the best with us. Thank you.